We have as our next guest John Robertson. John is the founder and CEO of the Sexy Salad, and John has spent at least the last 15 years of his career trying to make food fun and trying to make food part of corporate America's culture, something that I think is incredibly important, incredibly interesting. People just haven't thought about it that way, but we have recently, and we're going to spend the next half hour talking about it. So, John, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you having you joining us here today.
Thank you for having me.
Of course, absolutely. So talk about the last 15 years. Talk about how this whole idea of the Sexy Salad came to you, and talk about how it all sort of has unfolded.
So yeah, recently, just this past October 29th, we celebrated our 15th year, and it was a nice journey. But the journey started long before that. I had always desired to have my own business. As a kid, I worked in the local deli as a 15-year-old, and certainly any odd jobs I can get before that, shoveling and cutting lawns and things like that. So, I've always been a worker, but at the age of 15, I worked in a deli, and I said, someday I'm going to have a place of my own. A number of years went by. I was 21 years old, had worked a lot of different hotels, restaurants, and such, and I happened to be on a vacation in the Club Med in Eleuthera, down in the Bahamas. And as you walk into the dining room, if you've ever been a Club Med vacation, it's family style. And you walk in, and I hear from the back of the room, "Sexy salads, get your sexy salads." And I kind of walked over there, and I saw this gentleman. He's a big, tall hat, standing on or maybe he wasn't. I don't know. He just kind of towered over the room. But he's got a room full of, or a table full of ingredients, making sexy salads. So that night, I said, I've got the name of my restaurant. Now I just need the education and the financing. Yes, that's that too. So I guess I was 21 years old at that time, and I was 40 years old by the time I finally got it open. But the whole time it was with that specifically in mind. I want to get my place open. So
that stuck with you that whole time.
Yeah, it was in the vault, as they say.
Yeah.
It was certainly, I liked the name. It was very whimsical. You could have fun. In fact, I got back from that vacation. I was vacationing just before I took a chef's job in St. James, and so we had our grand opening party, and I used that term right away. That weekend, we had a private party for the family of the owners, and I'm screaming out, top of my lungs, "Sexy salads, get your sexy salads," and it stuck, and so sure. Here I am today, living the American dream, if you will.
Yeah, well, it's great. I mean, Sexy Salad has certainly become a known quantity here on Long Island, particularly right in the heart of the Hauppauge Industrial Park. It's great to have you guys there. But you recently have grown, and you've expanded into burgers and ice cream, and talk about that progression as well.
Yeah, so, I guess starting with my vision, things evolve. Your vision evolves. And when I first opened 15 years ago, I thought it was going to be very simple. I was a fast casual eatery. I was going to serve some soup, salad, panini to local community. And, as far as catering, it's going to be some sandwich baskets, fruit platters, a couple of salads, and not much more than that. But as I got to know the community, as the community got to know me, and we developed our relationship, they made it very clear that I'm either their caterer or I'm not their caterer. So what else you got was the question. What else you got? And so what else do I have? I don't know. Let's start doing some hot foods, and let's start doing some bouquets, and let's do some carvings, and it evolved. So my first menu was one page, black and white, done on a Microsoft Word, and now we're going to print with our brand new 32-page color menu. So that's over 15 years. Each time we go to print, it's another couple more pages. Ice cream, burgers, smoothies. People want to know that you're in it, and they want to call a caterer. So we evolved a number of years ago. We added or kind of changed our name to the Sexy Salad Catering Company opposed to the Sexy Salad, just because our catering had taken over so much more of our business. And I wanted people to feel really comfortable that it's more than just sandwiches and soups at this point. And they can kind of feel a little comfortable with other brands, other avenues. And I could really be their caterer. And corporate was looking for that. They didn't want to call a different caterer for each occasion, maybe one for a holiday and somebody else entirely for their summer barbecue. You don't develop relationships that way. So it worked out really well for us. You got to listen to your customers, and we did. And I think it's going to continue beyond that. Right now, we've got the burgers, we've got the smoothies, we've got the salads. We've got the ice cream. Sexy Cow has been doing wonderful for culture, is really the intention behind that one. But and beyond, we see continuing different brands, different foods. I'm always looking to see what the next trend is. You want to keep people happy. Fortunately, my customers are regulars, but they won't be if I get stale. I have to keep it fresh always.
Yeah, and listen, it's a great resource, and I don't think that business people understand how important culture is. Maybe they are learning now, and they're trying, but I'll tell you, John, we've known each other a while. We've started to work much more closely over these past few months. John has been doing our catered events at our firm, and there's definitely a marked difference. People are tired. It used to be give your staff bagels on a Friday and everybody's happy. People are fatigued with bagels on a Friday. They're just fatigued with it, and now, with your help, we do this almost surprise Friday morning hot breakfast. What's it going to be? They're excited. They're invigorated. They look forward to it. There's a lot of thankfulness about that. We use the ice cream service at our Halloween party internally. It was a huge hit. Huge hit.
Awesome. I love it.
It was crazy good. And I want you to talk about that because I think it was, I can't do it justice, but it really was a huge hit to end a meal like that. So really you're on the cusp of this culture revolution that we're having inside of businesses, and that's really what I'm so intrigued by you.
So a lot of that actually came by accident. Came with my slim margin industry. The food service industry is notoriously low margins. So I'm looking at 2019. Am I going to make any changes? Am I going to make any expense
You're going to make
cuts?
any money, right?
Am I going to make any money? And so one thing I looked at is, we have part of our policy there is if you work for the Sexy Salad, you can have anything you like to eat at no charge, no questions asked. We've got 25 employees right now. 25 employees times, $10 a day. Is that something I want to consider eliminating from the budget? And the answer was an emphatic no when I really did my research and thinking about it. It's the reason I've got such talent. So not only am I going to keep it, but now I'm going to spread the word. Listen, you're in my store on a very regular basis. You see my employees. Yep. You see the talent that I'm attracting. Can we have a conversation as to why? And I think I've got a story to tell, and people are listening. It's quite an interesting subject. I found it to be extremely interesting. Workplace culture. If you're intentional about it, what can you do? What can you do to help develop your team? And certainly catering as a tool, just as a tool. Certainly it's my own soapbox, and catering is obviously how I pay my own bills. But what are you doing for your culture is the conversation that I'm asking my CEOs. And the conversation can go into whether it be my catered services or the local discount at the gym, locally. Is there a financial wealth advisor that can come in and give a class? Is that something that's going to enhance your culture at your workplace? These are all ideas that I'm getting actually meeting with CEOs. I'm getting ideas from them as well as other services and trying to find solutions for some of my companies.
Yeah, I'll tell you, food is the top priority. It sounds, almost nuts, but I have to tell you, introducing, food the way you've allowed us to introduce it into our culture, if folks want an immediate impact on their culture, if they want to immediately improve and get rid of tensions and make people feel appreciated, you give them a meal. You give them a beautiful meal, a hot meal with decorations and everything else, you're immediately going to improve the culture and morale around the office.
And that's certainly 90% of it. Will be immediate. Some of it takes time. I have one company, they do an Easter egg hunt every year, and they might not have gotten a return their first year, but they invited family, spouses, children, and you got to know, maybe Bill's kids that one time you got introduced, but the following year you got to see Bill's kids again, but only a year older, and the following year, and the following year, and the following year. So you're developing culture over time. As you said, ice cream this afternoon, it's an immediate, absolutely, and people feel great. So it's a combination, it's a mix, and you've got to, I think about it for the entire year. What's your program for the year? What are we going to do to enhance our culture? Certainly is something that I have seen time and time again. 40 years in the industry, people do incredible things for food. I've seen it time and again. I had an issue with my one of my hot boxes the other day. One of my guys, electrician, hey Nick, what do you know about this? And for the price of a cup of coffee and an egg sandwich, he fixed my hot box. Right. People do incredible things for food. So I've seen that time and again with my own self, and the experiences that I'm seeing out there are just the stories that I can share of success are just incredible. The proof is in the pudding.
It just amazes me that it's taken people so long to to realize that, right? Because what do we do with our families? Any poignant moment, any holiday, what do? We celebrate it with food. We celebrate it around with a meal. And so why not at work? Wouldn't you want to celebrate the holidays and the highs and the lows with a meal? It just makes sense. And I really feel like your time has come. You know, you've been preaching this a long time, but I really feel like your time has come and this is going to blow up big time.
Sure. So it's not something that I've invented. And it's not even something that I've discovered myself alone. For years, certainly the West Coast, they're the forefront when it comes to workplace culture, it seems. They are the leaders when it comes to culinary trends, from what I can see in California. When I look to get my ideas, I like to travel out to California, see what's hot, what's the newest trend. And so certainly out there, for the last decade, for sure, if you worked for a large, up-and-coming, forward-thinking company, they were going to buy you breakfast and lunch, and it's just the way it was. And that was just one more nice thing about working for that particular company. They were looking to attract the best. They wanted to be the employer of choice. It wasn't going to happen by accident. So food, cafeterias, you'll eat here as part of the program. Again, part of the program. It's the entire culture. And that's why you're going to be able to, if you intentionally think and discuss and have these conversations with your board, what are we doing next year to enhance our culture? You're going to get great results out of it.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer of that. And one of the things that I have a lot of admiration for you about is, how passionate, but also how serious you take your business. You're very passionate, but you're very, very serious about your business. And I think recently you were rewarded by being accepted into the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, which I kudos and hats off to you. Truly, truly amazing. Talk to our viewers about that, because I think that's a really important milestone for you and for your business.
Yeah, so that's an absolutely incredible gift from Goldman Sachs of $500 million to educate small businesses like myself who have a passion, but might be missing something, whether it be the accounting portion of it, the marketing, human resources, the legal aspect. What are you missing in your business? So this gift was given to small businesses. They took this money and they went to Babson College, the Wharton School of Business, and said, come up with a program for small businesses. We want to educate 10,000 small businesses across the country. They've recently graduated 7,500 businesses.
All right, got it.
Doing my math there quickly. And they're proud of that fact, hitting their goal of 10,000 small businesses. And for me, it was a game changer. For most people that go through the program, it's a game changer. For me, you graduate the Goldman Sachs program. It's an intense mini MBA, if you will. For me, it was discover your growth opportunity was the challenge they gave to us. Before you graduate, you'll know what your real opportunity was. And it was right in front of me. So when I was doing my math on am I going to eliminate food, I realized that's my growth opportunity. Let's preach. My customers are in my store every day, every week, every month, every year, and they have for years. So they see my lack of turnover. During the Goldman Sachs program, part of it was doing extensive research. However much you may know about your industry right now, there's more to know. So I went down to the Miller Business Resource Center, and I did my homework. Not really getting educated to a whole lot of this, but I did see that it's a fact. The number one threat is the turnover, lack of well-trained employees in my industry. The number one threat. Beyond foodborne illness, beyond high prices, beyond increased legislation, the increased or the turnover. So I looked at my own situation. I don't have that. I have employees with me for 14 years. I'm only a 15-year-old company. My average turnover, I'm putting stockings up for the holidays, and I'm seeing there's half my employees have been with me more than 10 years.
Yeah.
So I realized that's something that I can probably take some experiences of my own out to the market and at least have a conversation in the boardroom. And those conversations have been very welcoming. I'll start a conversation in my restaurant. And the CEO normally invites me out to his office. We set something up. We just close the doors and we just talk about employee culture. And so it really was my growth opportunity. So that's where I'm taking out to the streets, the story that I've got to tell. And I've done a tremendous amount of research. I've got some interesting stories, interesting data on increased productivity when you start to work culture into your annual budget, if you will, intentional. I mean, culture is always going to be there, right? So whether it's an intentional culture or an accidental culture is up to you, up to the CEO, up to the president of the company. Collaboration, obviously, with the HR department and department heads. You want to have that conversation. What can we do to make sure that people are enjoying their job? If they enjoy their job more, not only are they going to stay longer, but they're going to be that much more motivated to get the job done. So productivity is going to go up tremendously when you are intentional about it.
Yep. So one of the reasons why I started doing this show is because people would ask me all the time, how are you guys growing so fast? Who are the people that you're working with? How are you doing it? And I use this show as an opportunity to showcase folks that have assisted us in their growth and in turn are growing phenomenally well themselves and helping Long Island grow. And hats off to Goldman Sachs and that program, because there was a different message. Once you had started that program, there was a different message that you were presenting. And that was the message that I think you and I really stuck with. And based on the conversations that we had when we were out to your place and we showcased you on our social media, based on those conversations, we made internal changes as well. Our marketing committee, so we have committees where employees buy into all the things that are going on. Our marketing committee became a marketing and culture committee, and we realized that we have to be marketing as well to the outside community, to the inside community also. One of the challenges with the unemployment rate being so low is talent's a challenge across the board. And I think that that's an incredibly important mission for you as a CEO, having gone through that program and having really learned to be taken out on the road to CEOs here on Long Island as to how are they going to improve their culture. And I'll tell you, since we've been working with you and put together a better plan, it really has done a terrific job. And so I want all of our listeners to understand that this just isn't fluff. This is how are we increasing our bottom line? We're having more satisfied employees. How are we having more satisfied employees? We're improving the culture. And that's not something that can be taken lightly, and food is such an important and critical part of that. Let's shift to millennials. Okay, one of the things that I think you've seen over the last 15 years, particularly here on Long Island, is the shift in workforce, and you're going to see an even more dramatic shift in workforce. So how does that affect your planning, and how does that affect your business plan?
Yeah. So one thing I've discovered recently is these millennials are absolutely brilliant. I brought them into the office and updated my office, and I should have done it quite some time ago. I had an opportunity this past summer to hire a high school intern. And she was the top of her class. She's going off to an Ivy League school. She was just absolutely ripe for my office and really kind of, gave me an opportunity to learn from somebody, the fresh generation. And so our office is updated quite a bit. We've got 2 millennials in the office, and we've just added 5 millennials to our customer service staff. It's a different breed entirely. So one of the reasons we've been successful is we understand millennials, what drives them. And that was through some reading, that was through some classes that I had been to, and just talking to them, what drives them. So sitting down one-on-one in a quiet environment and see what motivates them. And I've learned certainly the challenge always has to be there for them. If I don't give them challenges at work, they're going to leave me. So there's always, which is great for me, because that means that I can always grow my company, because I'm always throwing different challenges at them. They're responsible for specific projects where I may have had somebody in the past work on a specific project. Now it's teams. I've got 3, 4 people working on a specific project right now, so the camaraderie is being built. The millennials, everybody complains about them. My goodness, I'm so glad that I found them. In addition to my staff that's been with me for many years, I'm getting students right out of college doing a wonderful job for me. I've got one young lady, she's doing graphic design. She's got a graphic design degree. She kept me more excited. When I get a fist pump in the air when she throws on a sexy salad shirt, that tells me we're doing something right.
Yeah.
We are the employer of choice. We are the food business. You can work anywhere. Why am I going to get them to work for me? And so I've got to have intentional designs, and I want those millennials. My eyes have opened up, as long as I understand them. If you don't understand them, when I spoke to my millennial about taking my parking spot, and he couldn't understand, it wasn't convenient to park over where I had parked. It took me by surprise. But after doing a little research, I absolutely understand, including the fact that in a lot of the eyes of the millennials, I'm his peer. There's no father figure. My father taught me how to play chess. He learned chess from his peer. The video games, they're learning from each other. Not only that, but they're learning from their own mistakes. They're not being told necessarily what to do right and what to do wrong. If they're at the generation of playing the video games, they make a mistake and they say, okay, don't do that again. So once you understand what drives them, what motivates them, I think you can work with them a lot better and get a great relationship going at work and tap into that market. It's a wide open market.
Yeah, there's no choice but for us to grow with this new generation and to, make our work environments more friendly to them. I mean, some people will resist that, but I think that's a very big mistake. What about eating habits? So it's interesting you went from salads to burgers. I think people say, oh, salads are in and everybody's eating healthy.
Yeah.
I'm a burger guy, I make no mistake about it. Salad's not, the first thing I'm reaching for. But what do you see about the eating habits?
Yeah, so when I first opened 15 years ago, I had some great vision of adding a real healthy eatery to the Hauppauge Industrial Park. And I was ahead of my time. So the year was 2003. And we made farro salad, quinoa salad, bulgur wheat salad, put them all in the case, and we threw them away. Nobody ever heard of Freeka before. And now people come in and say, hey, do you happen to have anything made with Freeka? And we have it on our salad bar, and we have it in the grab-and-go case. And so things that I couldn't give away 15 years ago are now my hottest items. People are a lot more educated. 15 years, right? 15 years. Think about what's happened in 15 years. When I first got there, I called Cablevision, the largest internet service provider on Long Island, asked for service here in my new restaurant here in the Hauppauge Industrial Park. They had not offered it just 15 years ago. And now look at where we are. So technology has offered a lot. The information is there. So any information that you want on any subject, including healthy eating, is available. So people are a lot more wise to the options, and they're certainly a lot more vocal, which is a good thing for an owner like myself. Having your customers tell you what they want is a wonderful thing, and so. Years ago, the burgers, we do well with it. I'll be honest with you, we do really well as the week progresses. Monday morning, the line at the salad station is full, and by Friday, the burger line is the outperformer. It seems people forget their diets by Friday, but it's a balance maybe. Something a little bit different, but overall, the burger section is a much smaller footprint than the salads. Salads still represent 75% of our business, and I think that's because of the trend of healthier eating. The obesity rates that we spoke about 15 years ago, 10 years ago, are a fraction of what they used to be. We're definitely making progress in this country, and I think it's through education.
Yep. So one of the things I love about your shop, because I'm sort of a food snob in terms of cleanliness and orderliness, is the immaculate state that you keep your shop in. It's always clean, it's always neat, it's always orderly, which is important, I think, to a lot of people when it comes to food places. There's challenges there, right? I mean, we have a recent headlines about romaine lettuce, and that must cause a lot of challenges. Talk about you and how you manage that and how you keep it running so well.
Yeah. Well, firstly, realizing is the importance of it. So Warren Buffett is a great one who says, I buy stock because I like the product. I buy Coca-Cola because I drink Coca-Cola. And I think that a whole lot of other people will also like Coca-Cola, right? So if I like a nice, clean restaurant with excellent service, doesn't it hold true that everybody else would as well? So start with realizing and understanding your customers' needs and the importance of it. But the amount of compliments we get on our cleanliness and our sanitation practices are one of the reasons that it can help drive. My employees get a kick out of it. They love hearing compliments just as much as I do. So when people walk in and say, "I just love this place. It's clean, it's orderly, it's well run," it shows that we're organized. It works for us, It's a matter of hiring the right people that get it as well. I don't want to be the boss that's constantly on them saying, maintain your station. Yeah. Hire the right people, train them accordingly. They don't know coming in how to sanitize and how to keep a food business going. They've never worked in it before, or their experience is limited. Or one of the other challenges in my industry is getting the right education out to the workforce. So it's certainly my duty to educate them on the importance of that. And just when they're around the customers, I mean, the customers fuel them. They'll come in with the compliments, and it just drives my employees to do that much better of a job.
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge testament. I don't know that people understand how difficult it is for a food service to stay in business for 15 years and not have turnover and have such an incredible, reputation and following. I mean, the people, and I want to talk, we got a few minutes left. I want to talk about the Hauppauge Industrial Association because, as you know, I chair the board there, and you're a part of it. You're a part of it. You're a part of the fabric. You're part of what people talk about. People talk about let's grab something to eat at the Sexy Salad and then go sit and do what we have to do. How has that all unfolded for you? Did you expect to be such a central part of the Hauppauge Industrial Park at this point?
So I love the HIA-LI. For me, as a small business owner in the park, it has done wonderful for me in my resources, getting to know people in many different facets. I mean, they're a very, very well-run organization, some good history, but one thing that I really like about them, I love the education. There's always an opportunity for me to sit in a room and listen to one of my CEOs talk about their company, their culture, talk about what's worked for them, what hasn't worked for them, and you learn from them. That's how we grow. We learn from each other. So the HIA just happens to have the right blend of people for me. So I've got my high-end catering customers that are members of the HIA that love and respect, and we have that nice relationship. And then we also have people that I happen to see at the meetings that just come in as a regular retail customer, and that's great as well. But it's really made us, it's our location, being in the heart of the office park. The Hauppauge Industrial Association really is my support system behind me to help get the word out. Without them, I never would have been nearly as successful as I am today. It includes all the way back to the beginning when I was lucky enough to receive the Rookie of the Year award. Still trying to get my feet wet and trying to figure things out. What exactly am I trying to do? But they saw a vision, and they put their reputation on the line to pass that award on to me, and certainly I was very appreciative of that, and that helped launch. I'm very active. HIA-LI is a great organization as long as you are a member that's participating. You get out of it what you put into it, right? So I love going to the meetings. I love shaking hands. I love, that's the social aspect about my business that I love so much. Anybody that knows me as introvert would not be a description that people typically use for me. I love people. Off for 4 days of Thanksgiving, I didn't know what to do with myself. I'm glad to be back in the public,
That's great, and we really appreciate all the support you give the HIA-LI. You're always a great sponsor. About 30 seconds left, so talk to us about 2019 and what you're going to be up to in 2019, and then we'll wrap it up.
So technology is certainly in the forefront. Speeding fast, we introduced today our first grab-and-go station of online orders to be picked up, so our customers don't have to work, they don't have to wait online anymore, they don't have to wait for one of my staff members. We've got a station set up exclusively for pickups. We're working with third-party delivery systems these days. Technology is behind it now. We've tried this for many years, and it's always failed. Didn't have the technology. So embracing technology, using technology as a tool, utilizing Google is a great resource. My customers seem to love us. So we've just put on a Google beacon in our store, so it kind of reminds people to rate us. So our ratings are up in the 4.5, 4.6 now on Google. That's just because our regular customers. So it all comes down to technology. I'm embracing technology and the current food trends. What else are we looking at? Something you always have to pay attention to is the current food trends.
That's great news, John. People want to get in touch with you. People want to visit. Give us a way to get in touch.
So certainly, John at thesexysalad.com. I check my emails often and get right back to you. But certainly, we're real easy to find a block north of Motor Parkway, right in the heart of the Hauppauge Industrial Park.
Yep, folks, you want to improve your culture immediately? Call this man. He is our Chief Culture Officer here, John Robertson, CEO of the Sexy Salad. Thanks for joining us today, folks, and thanks, John, for being on.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Joe.